Throughout Unit 4, we're going to be talking about theme and symbol. I want to look at a particular excerpt to show you how to do a skill called patterning to help you learn how to find theme in a short story. The first step to patterning is to read through the entire story. This particular excerpt is called The Contender. It's about Alfred, a high school dropout, who is barely staying out of trouble with the law. One night, after getting beaten up, he steps into a gym to see if he can join the neighborhood boxing club. As he talks to Mr. Donatelli, the gym owner, about the challenges of training as a fighter, Alfred realizes Mr. Donatelli may be talking about more than just boxing. The first step whenever you're trying to pattern is to read through the entire text first. Get a general feel and just read for enjoyment. From The Contender. How far did you go in school? 11th grade. What happened? I quit. Why? Didn't seem like any reason to stay. What makes you think you won't quit here, too? Alfred swallowed. He suddenly wished he hadn't come up the steps, that he was somewhere else, anywhere. He thought of the cave. Well, I want to be somebody. Everybody is somebody. Somebody special, a champion. Donatelli's thin lips tightened. Everybody wants to be a champion. That's not enough. You have to start by wanting to be a contender, the man coming up, the man who's willing to sweat and bleed to get up as high as his legs and his brains and his heart will take him. That must sound corny to you. No. It's the climbing that makes the man. Getting to the top is an extra reward. I want to try. Donatelli shrugged. Boxing is a dying sport. People aren't much interested anymore. They want easy things like television, bowling, car rides. Get yourself a good job. Finish high school. Go at night if you have to. I'll try hard. Talk it over with your parents. I don't have any. I live with my aunt. The pale blue eyes came around again. They seemed softer now, but the voice was still cold and flat. It's not easy trying to become a contender. It's never any fun in the beginning. It's hard work. You'll want to quit at least once every day. If you quit before you really try, that's worse than never starting at all. After reading the excerpt, you want to go back through and find patterns. I saw a lot of patterns in this story. One of the first ones that I noticed as we started going through was the theme of quitting. They talk a lot about quitting and how you shouldn't quit. So when you're patterning, first you're going to make, using our tools here, you're going to be using a regular highlighter, but you want to make a key. So I'm going to say that yellow means quitting. Okay? And through reading about everything that they say about quitting or things related to quitting, we're going to figure out what the message is or the point that they're trying to get across. So first we see he mentions that he quits, and the reason why was that it didn't seem like there was any reason to stay. And then he responds with, what makes you think you won't quit here too? Okay, if we scroll further down, we see, okay, here's another one. It's hard work. You'll want to quit at least once a day. And if you quit before you really try, that's worse than never starting at all. What we see here is that at the beginning when he talks about quitting, Alfred swallowed, and he wished he hadn't come up the steps. To me, that sounds like he's a little bit guilty about the fact that he quit. And down at the bottom here, Mr. Donatelli almost speaks in themes. He says, if you quit before you really try, that's worse than never starting at all. And so we can see that our main character knows that it's worse than never starting at all, because he knows the guilt that's associated with quitting something that's important to you and that you should have tried harder at. So I would say that the theme here is actually directly stated. Quitting before you even try is worse than never trying at all. Now I could make a second theme, and I don't have two colors of highlighters, so I can't do much to make this look different, but I also noticed there was a theme of climbing. You probably noticed that too. They talked a lot about climbing. So in a different color, I would say now these are my patterns that I noticed with climbing. Well, this is interesting. He even talks about wishing he hadn't come up the steps, which is kind of like climbing. That might be important. And further down, he says, you have to start by wanting to be a contender. The man coming up. The man who knows there's a good chance he'll never get to the top. The man who's willing to sweat and bleed to get up as high as his legs and his brains and his heart will take him. And then later he says, it's the climbing that makes the man. Getting to the top is an extra reward. And I think that's about it. And again, we're lucky because Mr. Donatelli kind of talks in themes. He says, it's climbing that makes the man. Getting to the top is the extra reward. But what's interesting is, because he quit, and because he didn't reach his destination, he wishes he hadn't come up the steps. So, in a way, he's saying that he wishes that he had never started the climb at all, which links back to our first theme about quitting. So between quitting and climbing, we're getting a good idea about what the contender is all about. Okay, and finally, the last theme I want to talk about, or the last pattern that I want to talk about, is easy versus hard. So one more note that I would make in a different color yet again would be easy versus difficult. So let's look through again to see if we can find things about easy and difficult situations. In a way, we've already highlighted something about being easy or difficult. The man who knows there's a good chance he'll never get to the top. The man who's willing to sweat and bleed to get up as high as his legs and his brains and his heart will take him. That's very difficult. And it sounds difficult and tedious. So I would probably highlight that as well. And okay, here's where he starts talking about easy things. They want easy things like television, bowling, car rides. And then he says, go finish high school, go at night if you have to, which would be very difficult. The boy says, I'll try hard. And then he finally says, it's not easy trying to become a contender. It's never any fun in the beginning. It's hard work, you'll want to quit, and we've already talked about that one. So, to Mr. Donatelli at least, hard work is worth more than things that are easy. I would say that all four of our themes that we've picked out by patterning fit together. Things like climbing to reach the top, doing the hard thing rather than the easy thing, by pushing yourself as far as you think you can go, and by never ever giving up. So to become a contender, you would have to follow all four of those rules, or all four of those themes. And I'm sure that if we read the rest of the story, we would see those themes repeated throughout. In class tomorrow, you're going to be patterning excerpts and practicing in groups to try to figure out the themes of short stories. One thing I do want to note is that you may find different themes than I do. So you, when you're reading, may find a pattern that I didn't think about. And there certainly are other patterns in here. But with patterning, not everyone will have the right answer. There is no right answer. So there's a little bit of liberty here, but you're going to have to be able to prove what you're saying with evidence from the text. Please make sure that you fill out your WSQ on patterning. What did you learn? Summarize. And then what questions do you still have about patterning?